Dude, mostly it's like, I feel like dates, it's like mostly just very casual, shooting the shit, you know? I think the guys try way too hard to be very strategic as far as like saying the exact right thing, which that's what my course Engage covers, a lot of that like very strategic stuff. But I even give the caveat there where I say straight up, a lot of this shit is just improvised vibing. You know what I mean? Aaron, what do I say when she talks about a vacation that her and her family took when she went to Disneyland? I don't fucking know. Say some shit that you also know about Disneyland, or you went also, or whatever. Or, oh, I've always wanted to go. You know what I mean? So a lot of it really is improvised vibing and stuff. But at the same time, I think that by getting into that realm of talking about relationships, I think that's very powerful. I think that kind of, you can end up even, you know, if you guys are really vibing, you can even take that into like sexuality stuff. You know what I mean? You can be like, you can, you know, she might say, you might have poked a little bit and been like, oh, so what kind of like caused the end of that, you know? And she's like, I mean, honestly, we just were moving and it just didn't make sense to blah, 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 whatever, you know what I mean? And then, you know, she might end up then asking you, oh, what went wrong with your relationship? Be like, it was the sex. The sex was just not, you know, really doing it for me. And she'll be like, oh, really? Yeah, I mean, that won't be a problem with you, right? Like, that kind of stuff, getting that gateway open. I remember, like, my natural friend told me that fucking when we were, like, 16. Like, buddy of mine that's just always gotten laid since we were young. We were, like, 16, and he was like, when girls start talking to you about past relationships, that's how, like, you know it's on. And I was like, whoa. And throughout my entire journey in game, I've always remembered that, and I've always, like, noticed it to be true and, like, applied it. You know what I mean? Why the fuck is a girl gonna talk to some... Yeah, obviously she'll talk to, like, her gay best friend about it, or, like, if you really are just, like, a good guy friend, then yes. But when it comes to, like, this stranger dynamic, she ain't just gonna randomly be telling you about relationships unless she's, like, into you in some way. You know what I'm saying? So... yeah, that's an aspect of it. Again, a lot of this is kind of just more like improvised vibing type stuff. You know, and I kind of hate the whole idea of like DHVing. I hate that concept, but it's try hard, but guys make it try hard. But also, I'm kind of throwing in little nuggets, you know? Oh yeah, no, I know what you mean. 'Cause I lived in Miami for like 3 months, and when I was down like in South Beach, you know, we went to clubs all the time, and it got to this point. And there's just kind of this little subconscious like, whoa, like this guy, especially up in Columbus, Ohio, where these bitches' idea of a vacation is like going to West Virginia. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, yeah, he lived in Miami. So trying not to make it like too try hard, but I mean, anything that you feel that you kind of have in your life that, you know, would be just a little kind of like, you know, somewhere you went, somewhere cool, something cool that you did, you know? I mean, you want a girl on a date. On dates, girls are trying to... They're basically interviewing you to see if you could be their husband. I mean, really, on some fucking level, right? They're kind of interviewing you to see if you can be their husband, which obviously then there's tiers to that. Just like, you know, if you hire somebody to like come work at your workplace, you know, you're obviously not going to have them be the manager at first or whatever, but you know. So that's kind of like what they're doing there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that you are kind of showing that you are this kind of cool dude, you know. And a lot of that comes down to what we talked about earlier. Even when he was on that instant date and you and I were like one-on-one, and we've talked about it since, but that concept I told you about having the audacity to be heard, where a clear line does not present itself immediately to talk about the newest Star Wars, but you guys just got done talking about how, yeah, so, you know, she's like, I wanted to do nursing, and then I, you know, decided just to go into journalism because blah, blah, blah. Okay, nice. You see the new Star Wars yet? No, I mean, I'm not really into Star Wars. Oh, okay. I loved it. It was amazing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These lines won't always open themselves up, these lanes, but it's on you to, like, kind of push that conversation forward as the masculine leader of the situation, you know? You know, women don't want to participate in their own seduction. You know, they want you to lead the whole motherfucking thing. Yeah. They want you to be running this shit, right? Yeah. So if you're leading the conversation, always remembering these girls all have social anxiety. Okay, they're all weird. They are. Yeah. Of all the girls you approached today, of all the girls I approached today, a couple of them were like that, the Olivia girl that was right over there, the girl in the white, they were great conversationalists. The girl in the red, the one that like you had me go into, you were like, oh, why don't you go try that one? She was just awkward. I didn't sense like a repulsion to me. She just was kind of like, yeah, my friend. She was like kind of like playing with her fingers the whole time. She's like, yeah, my friends, yeah, we were like, oh my God, is this Netflix that I'm watching right now? Like, am I not watching Black Mirror? Where am I? Like, they are lost out here, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of on you to keep that shit going, which is kind of where sometimes the whole idea of like, oh, you know, being the quiet one, forcing the girl to invest. I like that. I like implementing that. Like I talked earlier, waves in, waves out of being like a fuckboy, and then like pulling back and be like, so for real, like, you know, what are you passionate about? What do you like to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In and out like that, same thing. You know, yeah, talk a bunch, you know, kind of lead that interaction, and then sometimes just kind of like, so what about you? She'll be like, what? I don't know, what about me? Like, what are you about? And just make her talk, you know, waves, in and out.
Can I, do you mind if I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So